Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today I am showing off a pre-production copy of Madara, specifically Acts 2 and Acts 3. This is the giant big box expansion coming out next year for the single most ambitious story-driven game ever, I think, at least when it comes to the narrative writing and text. I mean, this is a tome of story, and this is just the expansion content that is arriving for a game that already had written novels, plural, worth of flavor text, story, and world for you to explore. And as we've seen in the base game, and with the expansions and other little mini adventures they've put out over the last couple years, Madara and the design team behind it have only continued to get better, communities continue to grow, and the game, it does stand on its own as the single biggest and, I think, the single best JRPG, Japanese-style RPG board game on the market. This is a lot. And there's a lot of content here. I'm not going to be opening up all of these large hidden card decks or anything like that. And to be honest with you, a lot of the content that's in front of me is actually a little exclusive. It's hard to show because it's sealed behind, well, red text triggered opening sequences and events. So I just want to show it off. I want to talk about what my impressions of it has been. I want to show some of the cards. I'm actually going to be doing a whole little collection of videos, each one a little bit more bite-sized. So if you enjoy Madara and you're excited about some coverage of it and coverage of the core game, hopefully coming in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below letting me know what you would like to eventually see. The videos that I'm planning on doing are going to dive into the miniatures. I want to do like a miniature showcase showing off everything that's here in full 4K beauty shots. I want to talk about the flavor text and the story, read a little bit of that, setting you all up for where the adventure is going to be going. And then I want to do a deep dive into the new cards that are available to us here in the mechanics engine, not the ones that are sealed in these little decks. But in this video, I just want to give you a good overview of what it is they've produced, what this pre-production copy has in it, what is on the way. I believe at this point they have started manufacturing over, I think, in China. Don't quote me on that, though. Who knows? It could be in Nebraska. There's no telling, right? The world's changing. Factories are coming back to America, apparently. Who knows what's happening? Either way, I just wanted to give you all a breakdown. I wanted to show you that there was stuff in person, in hand, and let you all take a quick little gander at it. Now, for the record, just so you're aware, the reason why I have a pre-production copy of Madara Acts 2 and 3 is because I was doing some photography and some videography, some commercial assets for the team, and I asked them if I could then go ahead and open it up and showcase it here on the table. But they are having me mail this back to them, so I'm not actually going to get to dive into and play through all of 2 and 3 before you all. I'm not even going to get to play a single session of it, but I do at least get to show off some of the pretty components and let you all see what is here. I went ahead through some of their updates and printed out a little sheet here that breaks down the components, the summary of components that we have here in these expansions. And I want to run through them with you so you have a sense of what we're getting and show you some of them as we break into it. We don't have any of the token sets right now in this pre-production copy. A lot of the stuff that is like standard, they know how to do it, they've reliably done it with print after print after print, I didn't have to showcase and photograph because, of course, we have the core game to utilize as well. So the tiles and the tokens, the little punchboard pieces, they aren't here in front of me. However, I think almost everything else that needs to be showcased is extra large cards. This is a new feature here in Madara Season 2 and 3. These are giant flipping cards. I'm not going to show you any of the spoilers, but I want to show you a little bit of the artwork there that we're working with. You can see, it is just a beefy old card, and this is going to be where a lot of the flavor text and a lot of the story and a lot of your bigger, more fearsome bosses show up. Act 2 contains some number of extra large cards. They are called These cards are used to represent more complex AI, bosses, or other large-sized cards that need additional space. The new card size is there. I'll show you the back of one of these so you can get a sense of this. I mean, you have so much room for flavor text here. Alenia is full of mysterious locations too dangerous to fully explore. It seems that every year we discover more ancient ruins built by forgotten civilizations, vast infested complexes, and sites too remote to settle. There are elaborate cave systems that run miles and miles across uncharted territory and perhaps extending well beyond our borders. I'm not going to read a lot of flavor text. I know this is the channel that does stand by the statement that any flavor text in a board game should and must be read, but there's maybe a little bit too much for the size of video I'm looking to produce right now. This is the model, by the way, for that card that I was showing you. So we can show that off. Hidden cards. There are so many hidden card decks. We have large hidden card decks. We have extra large hidden card decks. We have epic item, legendary item, mythic item, medium hidden card decks, small hidden card decks, and 2 of those. So between 2 and 3, there are piles and piles of new cards. A lot of your medium-sized decks, or at least what are now the medium-sized decks, are going to contain bosses, creatures, variants, and the enemies that you're fighting. We do have new terrain that we're going to be dealing with, both with these giant printed boards, which I'll show at the very end of the video because I have to wipe everything off to do it, and with the tiles that have now new locations, like lava flows and boats that we're riding on. There's a lot of variance that's being introduced here. An underground toxic cave system that you're climbing through. It's gross, and I'm ready for it. Big cards are going to be big boys, big bosses, big events, big things happening in the world, environmental conditions, just stuff that requires more text than they wanted to put in the book, and they could fit on the other cards that we had. You also might have some more playable characters. You might have some more allies, some more friends mixed in there. I don't really know. I haven't opened them up myself. And then over here, these are going to be all of our beautiful items, abilities, our summons, everything that kind of goes into crafting the unique character that you're able to make. And Madara is one of these games that allows you to actually embody any type of character you'd like to pursue. And here with this game, I actually left them on a table over here. We have brand new dice as well. So new dice colors and new dice conditions related to those colors. So everything, the weapons are all going to be scaling up to another level, and you're going to be rebalancing and retaking on the game, not debuffed, just facing harder enemies, which is exciting. Replacement cards, so there are going to be some swapping cards. Compatibility cards that are going to be able to match things up, like we have the reset cards for all of our main core 4 characters, Nightingale, Remy, Zeke, and Rook. Then we have a new rulebook, which you can actually download and read right now. The formatting on it's great, and the rewrite of the rules is excellent. Really enjoyed working through it. I haven't read it, verbatim yet, but I have sat down and started digging into it to prepare for some of the more of the gameplay coverage we'd like to do. The 2 massive adventure books, I'm going to open those up in just a moment. Diagram book, which I don't have in front of me, that's going to be where you break down and actually spread out the creatures and the tiles here on the table. Lots and lots of plastic figures. And these models, for the record, are gorgeous. I mean, they're ethereal, they're well-crafted. Some of the smaller models have more detail than I was actually anticipating. And I really like the new poses. I like the way they're getting a lot more dynamic with it, moving into this new season of the campaign. I'm going to be doing a miniature showcase, so I'm not going to show them all off here, but I have to just flash this big boy up on the screen here. I don't know when, how, or what this is, or at what point it becomes involved in the story, but a giant face with fingers all twisting out of it. I mean, it feels a little Kingdom Death or Berserker inspired, which anyone that knows this channel knows I'm down for. It's weird, it's macabre, and I'm here for it. Moving on down, we have discipline cards. So a brand new stack of discipline cards. I'm going to be doing a video working our way through all of those, so you can get a chance to see what the new mechanics are going to be in this game. And keystone disciplines, which are really cool. You can actually sacrifice some discipline points in order to take these. And these keystones allow you to mix and match some of the other disciplines. So if you're trying to min-max, you actually have an entirely new arsenal of pathways to go down. And you can take some attributes if you're trying to diversify your type of character. Creates a little bit of a hybrid playstyle which I think is a really cool change moving from that base game where I really kind of chose one discipline, maybe one in a subcategory to pursue. Whereas here, I like the fact that I get to dip my toe in as many as possible. I'm always a toe dipper, unless it comes to Catan, and then I'm a sheep farmer first and foremost, and I'll stand by that. I mean that. I will stand by that. Play Catan with me. I dare you. I'm going to farm the sheep better than you've ever dreamed. Tierless item cards. There's going to be item cards in here that aren't related to tiers specifically. We have combatant loot cards. We're going to get more loot to spend on resources. Exalted Esper cards. These have to be in these mini card decks that I have over here. I don't know what these are. I assume some of you do. I might just be blanking. I could read, I suppose. I could read. 4 new Exalted Esper cards. These cards are new opponents that can be used, or new options that can be used by the Exalted Summoning Discipline from the Assemblage Discipline tree. Cool. So we have more summons that we can pull out onto the board and wreak havoc across the game state. They're going to have a pile of new tiles, including that subterranean kind of toxic zone that I was talking about. And we have these sheets. These sheets are beautiful. Giant printed material, and they're actually going to be mixing the way that you experience the game is going to be combining with tiles and sheets. So you might have some scenarios that are tiles only. You need a smaller area or category. You might have some boss fights or some linear storytelling that are one giant sheet. And then you might have things that create hybrids, like tiles moving into a giant room or a giant sheet, like sheets actually connecting with each other. They showed an example of that on one of their updates. So even though they're changing a little bit the way that you're going to approach the layout and the build of the game, I think it's going to make it a little bit more accessible. I think the artwork spread out on the table in front of you is beautiful. I think storage is going to be nice, shipping is going to be nice, and the fact that they're going to incorporate and back incorporate with the other tiles that we already have in play. I mean, how many tiles do you really need? I like these a lot. Moving on down, terrain tokens. Like I said, I don't have tokens here. Combat tokens, event tokens, and damage tokens. So that's our breakdown. That's what we're supposed to have in front of us here. And I just want to show you some of the stuff we're working with. So let me go ahead and rotate these books around and give you a little sample of what we're looking at here. I gotta move miniatures away. Unintentional Malleum, Act 2. So we have our introduction, talks about how to start. We get into the quick build guide. So any of you that don't remember Act 1 well enough to know where your characters were or don't want to play through Act 1 just so you can dive into Act 2 and 3, they do have quick setup guides. And you can always min-max, you can always modify, you always have like buy costs that you could trade in and out. So any of you that want to jump directly into Madara Act 2, Madara Act 3, this is going to give you build guides, character guides, that'll let you get up and running quickly. And it does it for all of your different variable characters. So if you had a favorite character that you like to run that you'd unlocked in the first campaign, you can do that. We have the beginning of Chapter 6, and then we just have a wall of story. Like I said, has to be one of, if not the most ambitious storytelling game I've come across when it comes to the amount of sheer text, the amount of writing, the amount of adventure that they've laid out. And you can see the iconic red text boxes as we go through here. These are the things that are going to be unlocking, revealing, so you don't read ahead like my wife likes to do. This is going to be how you trigger or miss things along the way. It's where you find variable different gameplay pathways that will lead you to a conclusion. And there's multiple conclusions in this game. So your fail forward, your progress, the way that you approach and move through it, it could end in a variety of ways. And those red boxes are going to dictate a lot of that. Let's go ahead and look at book number 3. Opening this up, some beautiful artwork here. City is developed a little bit. Aid of Nightmare. And again, I'm just going to flip through this. You don't have to look at the artwork or anything if you don't want to, have any potential spoilers at all. For me, I always just kind of open up books and take a look at the amazing artwork and the story that might be told if I can find a group that'll sit down with me for long enough to actually play through an entire campaign. Which, luckily now I have a son, so, my wife and I will hopefully be able to stay home and give him a little bit of structure in his life instead of traveling all across the world. And during that time period, maybe her and I will be able to dive into Act 2 and 3 because it's coming next year. And he's going to be 1 year old next year, which is an important time, but not a time where you want to be adventuring around the world, and not a time where you're old enough to sit down and actually play Madara with your parents. So that's what we have here. I'm going to pull some of these out just so you can see. Large hidden card decks, character cards. We have variants on a lot of the base game enemies. We have some new ones here as well. But as you know, in the base game, as you're pulling out more characters, more enemies, more bosses to fight, depending on the environment that they're in, some of these will take on different characteristic traits. Some of these will just be variable based on what you drew. And so you never quite know what you're going to be fighting or their personality, how they're going to interact with you. You have a sense of it based on the type of character it is, but each one's going to have different stats, different effects, and they're going to attack you in different ways. These are how the AI of the game runs. All right, let me go ahead and show you some of these giant tiles so you can see just how nice this is going to be to actually sit down and play with. I am totally messing this up for the next video, but that's okay. I love the artwork. I like the fact that they've combined this full picture into one kind of coalesced vision. I like that it's easy. They're still doing the textured printing, which I think is very, very, very nice. Like this rain here is actually it's got a little bit of texture to it. It's got a little bit of depth to it, and it's got a little bit of sheen to it, along with the plants here in the side. So the printing on these tiles is as good as the smaller tiles that you got in the game. And I would even argue that the artwork is better than you got in the original game, because the base game wasn't painting a giant picture. It wasn't telling a full story, whereas this is really trying to set up and show off the environment that you're playing in, right? Might make it a little bit more limited when it comes to like open use cases, but if I was a RPG player, if I was a D&D player, which I am sometimes, if I played it more often, I could make use of any of these pretty readily. And so I think Madara is going to do a good job at surprising us and varying the experience when it comes from these large print tiles to the smaller tiles, and how we actually integrate and mix everything together. So that's what we have here. Like I said, I'm going to be doing some quick videos working through all of our armor that is currently revealed, all of the different weapons and accessories that we have coming for 2 and 3 that aren't in sealed envelopes. I'm going to dive into the new abilities as well, so just breaking down the cards, letting you see a fuller picture at what is to come, a miniature highlight, and a little bit of a quick deep dive into the lore. I might even do a little bit of flavor text reading. It's almost necessary. So, let me know. What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to seeing? What type of content would you like to see us cover here on Madara? It's a big game. I mean, the odds of actually producing a full campaign here on the channel, as we've been told by the community before, is hard for us to do. It's hard for me to sit down and commit to the, 50, 60, 70 hours it takes to film, produce, edit, and post. But one-shots, snapshots, jump-ins on some of the different missions or bounty packs that they're going to be releasing, strategy guides talking about character builds and class upgrades. There's a lot of different options as we begin exploring this more and more ourselves. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Bye.